But the first 2 to 10 seconds is a storm, especially for most people. If they both people survive, that's important because somebody can get clean. If both people survive and they stay standing, you're in a kickboxing fight. If both people survive and it goes to the ground, or one person goes to the ground, you have that sort of an environment that you have to begin with. But let's say you've now separated and you're both standing. If I'm at a distance, what's the thing I'm most worried about with most people being countered by? And it's going to be a jab. So that's why Bruce Lee's whole next series is Loida.
Hello, my name is Jamie Sparling. Welcome to the FormABLE Podcast, where we talk about formable moments in martial arts training and formable moments in the lives of martial artists. Today, I have Steve Lilegdon with me. He's been a great training partner and an absolute gem of a human being since I've gotten to know him. To be honest, his gym was closing in Chicago at the time that mine was very first opening. And if it wasn't for this guy, I wouldn't have half of the things that I had when I got going. His gym was called High Intensity Fitness and Martial Arts in Chicago. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Lilegdon. What's up, Steve?
Nada. Just happy to be alive.
Yeah, brother. Sometimes that's as good as it gets. Like you said, every
Yeah.
day above ground is a gift. Yes?
Yes, sir. For sure.
Right on. Well, I just want to thank you for coming on. You've done a lot for me as a human being, and also, I've always thought that you and I someday could really have a really cool school together. Just our two personalities and our two skill sets, and not saying that one doesn't have the other and vice versa, but we really are able to build off of each other. You think that?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that. And to be honest with you, everybody has a portion of the art the other person doesn't have because of where you're focused, what your training experiences are, what coaches are most accessible to you. So everybody has something that somebody else doesn't have, and that's what Guru Dan teaches us. That's why he tells us to go out and train with other people.
Yeah.
So there's no disrespect in saying that you have something that I don't, and that's the absolute truth because it goes both ways.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I appreciate that,
Yeah, then we
Uh,
can this way we can actually learn from each other. Then it's even better. It's like, oh wow, I don't, man, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
My
S-
colleague would be better if I was around you.
And my grappling's getting better, but if I had you as a training partner, it'd be through the roof. I'm just telling you
Yeah,
right
yeah, you'd
now.
have your brown belt for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So Steve, tell me a little bit about your martial arts background story, right? How you got
Okay.
involved in it, how did you get involved in it and what are you getting out of it?
Well, ultimately, it came down to me being smaller than most people. Even like right now, I'm a touch under 180. That's not huge for human beings. I'm
Hmm.
5'9" and a half, 5'10". I'm just a touch under 5'10". I mean, there are people out there that are 6'10", right? So holy cow. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm floating around at about average. And as a kid, I was smaller and I didn't like being picked on. So ultimately, it came down to doing a little bit of judo at 9 years old. But then, of course, we saw a Saturday afternoon kung fu theater, and that looked cool. So then I
Yeah.
wound up getting into karate, and then I wound up wrestling a little bit in high school. And then about my late, I was almost 21 when I find because I'd been looking, and I found a JKD school in the Chicagoland area, and they were under Larry Hartzell, who was also my primary in terms of JKD. I've over 100 hours of private lessons with Sifu Larry. You can say that
Mm.
again. Over 100 hours of private lessons. Why do you think I am the way I am? But I mean, but I have to credit him for him giving me so much of the art and helping me functionalize so many things, which is why I trained with him. But it came down to being smaller than most people, not getting picked on, and then ultimately, I wound up. Most of my real fighting experience comes from bouncing because I don't like bullies. I didn't like it as a kid, and I even don't like it more now. And I like serving justice.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to watch your back doing all that stuff though, right?
Of course.
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. One of the first bars I worked at when I moved out to California was NYPD, New York Pizza Delivery, and Shamrocks. The owner of that bar at the time, and he still is involved, of course, not going to get into detail, but he was the president of the Vagos for Palm Springs. So, yeah, that was a straight up biker bar where one percenters went to all the time. I know a lot of them still today.
Right on, right on. I've always thought highly of you because I feel like myself, I can fit in a lot of different environments.
Mhm.
And that seems to be something that not everybody can do. And I pride myself on it. I have friends from all different walks of life. And
Exactly.
yeah, and it's so important as for growth as a human being. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, for sure. Well, everybody's growth will be different. I don't even I'm not even sure. um, State the question again.
Just being around different people, very similar to studying different martial arts, is really good for our growth as a person.
Oh yeah, for sure. You get a wide ranging of experiences, and you see how different people will react in different situations.
Exactly. And sometimes it helps me not to be thrown by things, like I don't know. I've been in a lot of different situations where I was like, huh, what's going to come out of this?
Mhm. Yeah, that's actually when you just see me smiling.
Well, we'll save those stories for another time. But
Yeah, for sure. I got a lot of them.
yeah, for sure, for sure. In your training with Sifu Larry, what did you concentrate on, brother?
Whatever he felt I needed,
Okay.
because he was very good at diagnosing and showing me what I needed to advance. So I could walk in and it didn't, he was going to actually guide how the training went.
hmm
And that was actually much more efficient.
Yeah. What were some of the favorite things that you learned from Sifu Larry?
Um, the things that you almost couldn't describe, which
Oh,
is like, and things that like Paul Vunak would talk about, which is killer instinct, the mental attitude, you know? And I used to pride myself on the fact that nobody ever had to ask me twice to fight.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, those are some of the little things that it's not just all about a jab. You have to be fearless, just like Bruce Lee says, you almost have to put your life on the line, not care about the outcome. Then you'll be pretty dangerous.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. And just thinking about all of the possible outcomes is definitely going to hinder what it is that you're doing if you try to be in real time, because it's
For
all
sure.
stimulus response, and having an expectation sometimes just drives us right out of things.
Yeah, you have to be there, clear, and present.
Yeah, for sure.
That's super important. And
So
and yeah, a lot of people start thinking about the situation they're in while they're in it. That's a brain lock. That's a brain freeze. You
mhm,
have to just, be absolutely there at that absolute second, absorbing everything that's happening from body language to the way somebody's speaking. You can see there are tells. You know when they're going to swing if you're paying attention, but you have to be relaxed.
that makes sense. Tony Blauer talks a lot about pre-contact cues.
Exactly. And also, I even call it pre-contact positioning. I'm actually in a position to fight and win before the fight starts. And most people don't know what I'm doing. And the way I like to put it is if I was facing you and you're facing me and we're both on center line,
hmm
right? I have your left hand, your right hand. You do what's called a drop step in wrestling, and because it's like gravity. There's no way I can keep up with you. You're gonna put me on my back, and if I can do it, I know somebody else can do it.
hmm
So I have to be off your center line, but you have to be on mine. I want to be looking at the person at the slightest angle to give you a lead. I don't care if I'm on your right or your left, but I now gave you a power side. I gave you a lead, and I'm not on your railroad tracks, but you're on mine. So I can blast double you, but you can't blast double me. You have to turn your hips to adjust. And I want to be on a slight angle, just so you turn your head a little bit to talk to me, like I'm doing like this. If you have to turn too far, they'll adjust their body. I want to go from here and I want them like this. That's all I need because they're here and I'm on their center line. I'm already ahead before the fight starts.
Do you find yourself using things like that in your bouncing?
Every time, every time I have a discussion with a stranger at the bar that I don't know, I am in a position to wipe them out before they can get to me. Trust no one. That's how you win. It's always on.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's always on. Somebody can. do something disrespectful to some old lady right now, and I'm going to put this phone down and it's going to be on.
I don't doubt it for a second, my man. I don't doubt it for a second. How important is fitness
Oh,
in
by the way,
martial
that's really
arts?
important. But Jamie, I want to break in for a second. Okay,
Yeah.
I bought this Inasano instructor shirt 15 years ago. Okay, it's got the cool watermark and everything.
Mhm.
Because I destroy everything I own, I've never worn it until today for this interview.
Oh, I appreciate that, brother. I really do, and I
I have
relate.
to get that in there.
Yeah, I also relate to that 100% because sometimes my wife would be like, "Well, aren't you wearing this thing you really like?" And I was like, "Nah, we're
It's
gonna
too
save."
important, and I'm an animal.
Well, exactly. Animal, semi-slob, it goes both ways, it just
Totally,
depends. Yeah,
completely.
it depends all on the timing.
Hmm. I'm
Brother,
gonna dribble my drink on this white shirt and be so mad at myself. Oh my god.
man, the whole reason we chose black for our little dragons at my academy is because
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, because I always thought if I had a white uniform, I would drop something on it at some point, and they're children.
That makes sense.
And their children. And one lady, as we were defining what it is that we were going to use for uniforms, raised her hand and she said, I really like the idea of black because I live out in the country and I have well water and nothing stays white. And I was like, okay, so I got this mom backing me up. I'm a grown man who thinks there's a fair chance he'll drop
Nice.
something on it, and they're 8. All right, we're going black. You know what I mean? It made a
Yeah.
pretty easy type of a decision there.
Yeah, I had a white Thai Boxing Association T-shirt many years ago that I did a lot of sparring and stuff in, and the ridiculous amount of blood stains on that shirt, mine and other people's, was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Normally, if it's on my shirt, though, it's theirs. My blood is on them, but their blood will be on me. That's the way it always goes. If
splatter
that makes sense.
effect. We'll just say
Yeah, because their
splatter
their face is
effect.
like in you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
I remember coming to Chicago and spending time with you, and we went to a boxing gym, and you were showing somebody how to use their head with the boxing. Both people had headgear on, and
Oh
you were
right.
we might have it might have even been in a cage. I don't know. It was a long time ago, but I remember you showing somebody how to place your head in a certain position so you could get an uppercut and all these
Yeah.
different things. And that was one of the first times I was like, "Oh my gosh, that reminds me of Silat, where we might put in a headbutt, but in the wrestling, I'm using it as a post, or
Right.
boxing as a post."
That was all Larry Hartzell.
Yeah?
That's all Larry Hartzell's dirty boxing.
Mm,
Using my head for pressure, control, making sure I have position, my chin is safe, theirs is not. I have both hands free, learning how to pummel your hands free. Because if I'm pummeling with you, I can't be striking.
mhm.
I need my hands free, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so it's like anti grappling while you're standing, if
Right
that makes
on.
sense.
Yeah. So, high intensity fitness and martial arts. You are one of the few people I knew back in the time that when you put it together, you highlighted the fitness first
Right.
before martial arts.
Right.
Why is
Guru
that?
Dan always Guru Dan always told us that your body is your instrument, and if your instrument is out of tune, you will not play very good music.
Mhm.
So ultimately, and through time, I discovered that again, conditioning, I could overpower somebody because we have the six S's, right?
Mhm.
You have your strength, your speed, your stamina, your skill, your strategy, and your spirit. And sometimes I'm gonna need one of those things is gonna have to be overpowering of my opponents, and it won't be strength because I'm not all that big, and I would go with anybody. So it's gonna have to be speed. It's gonna have to be stamina, and then the other attributes. Hopefully I'll have to not only have the skill but have the strategy to apply the correct technique, and then you have to have the spirit to withstand damage, otherwise it's over.
Yeah, most definitely. You never lacked spirit. since I knew you. That's for sure. And the other S's as well, but I was like very,
Right.
very,
For
very,
sure.
very spirited.
For
When d-
sure. Well,
when
I had
did
to use that to make up for my lack of skill, in my opinion.
well, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, there's always like a sweet spot, right? And it's all
Yeah.
percentages. It's all
Yeah.
percentages. And then as we get older, sometimes those percentages kind of change.
Exactly. Believe me, I wish I had more skill back then, but I just had to make it up with some spirit.
That's all right. Sometimes that's the secret sauce, you know what I mean?
Right.
That definitely could be the secret sauce.
The
So,
secret sauce was actually me taking private lessons with Larry Hartsfield. That's when everything changed for me. That's when I was actually able to apply my JKD. Uh, and that's why even today, like Guru Dan likes to, as you and I have talked about, that Guru Dan likes to encourage everybody to go out and start their own organization. And part of that, I think, is because of the fact that I can't represent Guru Dan as well as I can represent myself
yeah.
because I am me. So he
Mhm.
wants you to go out and be you. Don't try to go out and be somebody else. But to a great degree, I almost can't not be Jeet Kune Do. I have such a heavy influence of Larry Hartzell and Guru Dan. And then, of course, like in spirit, Sifu Paul Vonak, who I have the ultimate respect for. That guy has put literally his life for the martial arts. That's somebody I have to really, at this point in my life, should really connect and train with because a guy like that at this point in his life also deserves my support. I'm just too poor to see him literally. Otherwise, I'd see him next weekend. But, to me, he put it all together for me. We
Mhm.
all get it in bits and pieces. Okay. And you have to have a way to enter from a distance with no contact. And especially with no gloves, as I didn't realize until I got into more bare knuckle stuff, fighting in the street, that Ping Choi Gua Choi uh, actually kind of works because it's so quick and you're looking for the next move. That's just a fake to get in. Because again, you use it from a distance. You're faking to get in. And then of course you have your jab series. We might call it Bilji, but I don't care if it's high, low, high with whatever. You don't low jab with a finger jab, anyways. You low jab with a real jab, and the
Mhm.
jab to the face is going to be the eyes. And by the way, what kills me is you watch most JKD people when they're it's if you're 80 years old, whatever, or when Larry was older, I'll accept it. But too many of the young crowd doesn't level change when they throw their low jab and they throw like a jab at like a downward angle, which no good boxer is going to fall for. It's bullshit. You have to jab to the face. You have to have a slight level change with the low jab. Then you come up, and then you have that energy to come up with power if you're not using the fingers. But of course, with an open hand, it could be a finger in the eye, a thumb in the eye, a palm strike. Who cares? It's a gross motor motion that way. Better for fighting, and you won't hurt your hand.
Mhm.
But there has to be a slight dip of a level change in there. And I don't see people doing that. And that's critical to making the technique work. It's like skipping a step in jujitsu. You just left a huge hole for their hips to come back into place. You can't just jump from the legs to the upper body. You have to control the hips. If you don't do that, you're never going to pass the guard unless they just suck.
Fair enough. Fair
So
enough.
all the little details. And then, Jamie, if I said, and I'm going to just ask rhetorically, what is, if you're at a distance, let's say the fight's already started, and this is the way I like to put it for street fighting. This is the way a street fight goes. The first 2 to 10 seconds is absolute shitstorm chaos unless you can get control with the type of positioning and hand fighting and grappling that I do with my judo and wrestling background. And a lot of course, was taught to me by Larry, actually, with his dirty boxing. He actually filled in all the blanks for me. I had little bits and pieces, okay?
Mhm.
But the first 2 to 10 seconds is a shitstorm, especially for most people. If both people survive, that's important because somebody can get clean. If both people survive and they stay standing, you're in a kickboxing fight. If both people survive and it goes to the ground, or one person goes to the ground, you have that sort of an environment that you have to begin with. The
Mhm.
first 2 to 10 seconds is the shitstorm. But let's say you've now separated and you're both standing. If I'm at a distance, what's the thing I'm most worried about with most people being countered by? And it's going to be a jab. So that's why Bruce Lee's whole next series is Loida. We fake our way in, we counter our jab, and of course, we always have the G Tech in there, right? Because the G Tech's part of it all.
Mhm.
But ultimately, and then after that, you have to flow. You can't plan too much. So it makes sense. How does Bruce want to fake his way in? If the guy counters, what's his most likely counter? It's going to be a straight punch. So Loida works perfect, and then after that, you have to flow with whatever your tools are.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, survival first, and then you can get to your art,
But
whatever
also
that
the but
is.
also the progression's important. Ping Choi Gua Choi, Bilji. I'm faking my way in. I'm working high and low because the G Tech and Mao Tech is in there, right? So I'm going high, low, high constantly, whether it's hand, foot, hand. It doesn't, and then I'm dealing with the most likely counter, and then I flow from there. And that's the progression, and that's the important part. Faking your way in, dealing with the highest percentage counter, and then just fighting.
Yeah, well, you're talking about progression. That's in the form of training the student or training yourself. Yes, that's the
Exactly.
progression piece,
Right.
and then how it all fits together is the personalization type
Exactly.
of thing. But personalized, then also there's so much to do with the
But having
environmental
that
piece.
progression explained is important because at one time we got bits and pieces,
Hmm.
and they would teach us the Buji series, but they didn't say how it all interlocked with the rest of it. We just studied the pure technique at the seminar. When Larry's the one who said, "No, no, this is the way it goes. This is the order. This is the way it gets used, which is important." You know,
Yeah,
I
thanks for
can't.
sharing that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So whenever I was in Chicago, your students had all kinds of different skills. To this day, I've not seen an 8-year-old or 9-year-old with stick and dagger like I did at your school. There was some young lady, and maybe I don't have the ages right. We're talking 20 years ago, right?
Okay,
But
right.
so good with the stick and the dagger. And then a lot of your people were excellent with the kickboxing
Hmm.
or the
The
grappling
grappling,
as
exactly.
well. Yeah,
Well,
for
like anything
sure.
else, I kind of like whatever they gravitate to.
Mhm,
There was a heavy boxing, Thai boxing. I have to throw Savat because it's like all part of the JKD mix.
mhm.
Involved in my striking classes, and then it was like wrestling and judo, and then jujitsu and catch wrestling on the ground, in the shuto. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what made my blend kind of unique because, like most jiu-jitsu people, unlike most jiu-jitsu people, I had all the shudo and catch wrestling attacks. I'm just like a cheap, poorer version of Eric Paulson. He's much better than I am, much better than I am. But it's his grappling, and he's so much more knowledge. But
Of
he was
course,
in the
yeah.
heart of everything.
Yeah.
But to a certain degree, in a private conversation, Larry Hartzell, and I'm not talking about any individual personally right now. Larry was talking about the academy in general, and he was telling me that him and Guru Dan, and this was probably in like 2006 at his house, that he felt they gave everybody too much because if you can have all the advanced counters in the world, but you have to be able to deal with the jab to get there, and they didn't have a strong enough base in the fundamentals. And to a great degree, part of my success was the fact that I had such limited access to information that I had no choice but to train the living bejesus out of the few things that I knew. So
Mhm.
I became really good at a few things. And I always thought that I was lacking because I didn't have all the material. The reality was I wasn't lacking any more than the academy students were because I was way better at my pakda than them. And when I went to the academy to spar, I could pull it off on people, but they couldn't do it to me in live sparring. So there you go. And Pakda might seem like a simple technique until you have gloves on and somebody's trying to punch and kick you, and you have to do it and
Oh,
not
of
get caught
course,
behind the other hand. All
that
that,
that's for
when it's
all
real
of it.
sparring.
That's for all of it, though. It's all much more difficult when the guy really wants to punch through your head. I mean,
Right.
that makes
And
that.
Jamie, I'll share this with you with the beginning students, which is almost everybody compared to me, just because my time in the art. I was a senior when I went there. Normally, what I would do is I would pakta, and then you're gonna love this. Let me see if I'm holding my phone. As I would as I would pakta, I would just rub the top of their head instead of hitting them in the face. I would just rub the top of their head just to show them, like, I could have just whacked you, but I'm just being kind today. I'm just playing.
Yeah. So, when you were at the academy, what were the things you focused on?
Showing up for Guru Dan's class.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good answer. That's a really good
Yeah,
answer.
and whatever he's teaching. And I remember one time after class, because he knew the long trip that I was making, and he made a comment. He's like, "Yeah, sorry, today was so basic." And I was like, and I thought to myself, "You just taught the most incredible teaching progression that any instructor would love to have in their arsenal. Are you kidding me?" I was almost like jaw dropped in my head. Like what he taught was an amazing progression to help. If you're an instructor, that was a class for an instructor. But yet, again, he thinks everybody wants the fancy stuff. And I know that you'll use that 1 or 2% of the time, but those basics he showed was all like combative now, all simple techniques. And I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So I guess my focus is just different.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You have to be ready for that advanced stuff. It's kind of like if you're a white belt, you can show somebody some fantastic really technical gi move, or even worse, like no gi, because now it's even harder to make that connection with the body and keep it. It's just going to be too much for a beginner. It's got to be really, really basic. So sometimes it doesn't pay to teach. It doesn't make sense to teach somebody something so far above their skill level that they're not going to be able to use it for 3 years. The only time that stuff is okay is if it were like we're in seminar. That's because the class isn't for you. It isn't for me. It's for everybody. And there are advanced people there. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's like a math problem. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, there it is. It took 2.5 years of me going to Inasano seminars to figure it out and watch them do it. But finally, you get it.
For sure. For sure. But that's a difficult position to be in too, because so many people do expect certain techniques or certain progressions,
Right.
you
How about
know?
this, Jamie? Hey, well, have you ever heard this? Oh, I've seen that armbar before. Well,
Of
how good
of
is that
course.
armbar? You've seen it. You can kind of stumble your way through it, but is it blue belt level? Is it purple belt level armbar? Is it a brown? Is it a black belt level armbar? Can you teach a black belt details that they don't even see, like Hickson Gracie? What level is your armbar? It's kind of like I've seen a jab. Well, how's your jab compared to Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali? How's your jab compared there? It's a simple technique. I've seen that jab before. Yeah, well, I'm gonna make you eat your teeth.
Oh, Steve. Yeah, yeah. I hear you, brother. I hear you. You know, uh my only point was that, you have a lot of different expectations in a class, right?
Sure.
And everything is different. And I think I think we've all went through different periods where I might be looking for the next technique, even though I hadn't practiced the other one enough,
Right.
if you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean,
I
right?
do, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then later on, I realize, well, that's great, as you said. However, I need to refine these other tools
Right.
so that I can raise the level and be able to, as they say, pull something off, right?
Right. Exactly. And the order we do things in is super important. I remember when I was training with you. Now we have to go back, like, I don't know. It's probably around 17 years since we had this conversation.
Hmm.
But it was the focus of grappling, and the first is your defense because you're always in the game.
Hmm.
If you're not tapping and no one's tapping you, you're automatically doing incredible. And then once I understand defense, I can always try to get on top or get my guard back. And then once I can get my guard, I'm free to attack because I know if you pass, it's okay. You're not gonna be able to tap me, and then I'll try to get my guard back again, or get on top again. And then once I can get my guard and either sweep or get on top, going to like a dog fight, then maybe I can get on top. And even if I go for an attack on top and mess it up, I know that because of my good defense, I'll be okay and I can restart the game again. So it's just
Hmm.
kind of like where you start. But, if you start trying to attack and you have big holes in your defense, let's work on that first. Then when you're not getting tapped by anybody, now it's easy to breathe. You can be more relaxed, and everything gets better.
Hmm. Yeah,
So just the order, the progression, it's important.
of
The
course
way
it
you look
is.
at the art, the way you think about it, how you prioritize.
Mhm.
Because as you can tell, I mean, from our conversations and knowing me for over 20 years, that for me, it's all about fighting.
For sure.
It's,
For me,
it's
it's not. You
all
know what
about.
I mean? Now, that's important. I'm not faking the funk, right? Because
Right.
we should be able to fight as martial artists, but there's going to be certain things that, anyway, I enjoy the art as a part of it as well.
Right. Well, see, the thing is that everybody has something different to offer.
Hmm.
And like, I'm not teaching right now. And so the art's important because the art draws people in too, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It could be Kali, it could be boxing, it could be wrestling, whatever. A beautiful takedown, a beautiful Sayanagi in judo where the guy's feet go over his head. Whoa! Keep
Yeah.
on. That's so. There's beauty in the art, and we all have to work up to a certain place. Like again, if somebody comes in and they're like a mom housewife, they might not have they might not have the intensity of somebody like myself right away. But because they're a mom and housewife, don't ever doubt their ability to have fighting spirit when their children's involved.
Of course not.
So but they're not going to have like necessarily they're not going to be willing to go through some of the toughness things that like competitive fighters go through, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. We're back to progression, right? And every
Right.
human's going to have a different style of
Yeah.
progression, right? Being able
And
to
and,
accept force and generate force in
and
different ways at different time periods of their
and
life.
15, 20, 25 years later, they'll be Linda Hatch and somebody you don't want to mess with. You think this little deaf lady is safe to play with, and she's going to cut you to pieces.
Well, yeah, yeah, she is absolutely amazing. And we never know in martial arts,
but
right?
but my
Like
point is
what's
is,
in the
is even but
package.
they'll get there if they hang in there, and they'll get out of the art what they're looking for, hopefully.
Hmm.
But if they hang in there long enough, they'll become a killer, just like Linda Hatch, who is just
Absolutely.
So as a great example, just because you told me you spoke to Sifu Dave today,
Hmm.
so yeah, everybody is on a level of 0 to 10 someplace. Zero maybe being a newborn baby, 10 being the Olympic champion, and then all of us fall sadly someplace well beneath that level.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. But anyway, we're back to every day waking up above ground is a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. What drew you to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I know Sifu Larry, obviously great with the grappling, teaching you different things. But when I
Sure.
got to know you, Jiu-Jitsu was like that was your jam.
Well, here's the thing. If you really want to get technical, I was always a striker. As Larry taught me, always be striking. What I was focusing and trying to study and get much better at is for whatever skill level I had and have was the wrestling because it's so infinite. And as I get older, like all the spinning kicks and stuff I could do when I was younger, my hips are worn. I can't. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna throw a spinning kick at somebody's head. I'm gonna fall down. I don't have the flexibility anymore. So some of that I know is naturally gonna go away.
Hmm.
But my contact reflexes,
Hmm.
my connection, and the sensitivity, feel, the body feel, and all that can always grow and keep me in the game. And it really comes down to wrestling, jujitsu, catch wrestling. It's all the same thing. The way I like to put it is wrestling or like no-gi jujitsu. Again, I trained with Master Eddie Bravo for a while. 10th Planet, all respect to Master Eddie. Um, that's just with that's just without a gi, without clothing. In judo and jujitsu, they're better with clothing, and we can see it in the UFC because especially in the early days, you took off the gi, and now they don't have this collar to hold this guy's posture down, and all of a sudden the guard didn't become as deadly at a certain point, and suddenly people aren't going to get arm bars and triangles from bottom so easily. It happens, but we won't call it high percentage. Not like a rear naked choke is high percentage, that's for sure. That happens often. So where should your focus be? What's high percentage? And Forrest Griffin himself, got in a fight in Brazil where he got his arm broken in the guard, but he knocked the guy out with his other hand. But he only won some small amount of money. He talked about it later. He's saying, "I wish I would have tapped. The hospital bills weren't worth it."
Hmm.
He won the fight, but he got his arm broken. So what's a meth head going to do? he's gonna not even he's gonna keep fighting through that broken arm bar and probably still punch you with the broken arm. So that's not a. But I had discovered a long time ago. I don't care what they're on. When they're sleeping, they're sleeping. When I have their neck, it's over. So grappling's important. And the reason I think judo is super important and jujitsu is important is because, especially I'm from Chicago, everybody wore clothing. There were
Hmm.
always there were always pants, jeans to grab at the bottom, especially when in my style of day, everything was baggy, not like this tight skinny jean garbage like people wear nowadays. It was easy to, you could use jeans for a guard pass and kick them in the head. This is real fighting now. I'm not gonna. It's a real fighting. I'm gonna use the guard. I'm gonna do a Toriando pass. I'm gonna kick him in the head. I'm not going down chest to chest. There's multiple opponents. That's just silly.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. What
Yeah.
else has martial arts given you other than combative sense and confidence?
As a human being that I deal with sales, the exceptional confidence I have to walk in the room and say anything that I want. I can make my presentation, and what's somebody going to say? What are they going to do to me? It's like a hidden super weapon in terms of dealing with other human beings. And again, the most relaxed person wins. I'm again back to fighting because that's what I'm all about. So if I can be so stupidly relaxed because I'm so confident, I'm gonna win because my heart rate's low and I'm just waiting for this stupid person to make their dumb move or go on their way wisely.
So, right now, you're working in sales, you just said.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Um, I work in car sales.
Awesome.
Just like anything else in this world, I meet some really nice people,
Hmm.
and then I meet some people that are just really just
Not nice, just the other side
selfish,
of the first.
disrespectful. Yeah, selfish, disrespectful. The greatest pleasure I had was one time a guy. I'm not gonna get into the whole story, but I basically said that I can't help you. I want you to now go and waste your life, your time, and your precious existence dealing with somebody who is just jerky because I'm too nice and you don't deserve my level of service. I don't care about money. I do things for smiles. I do things for my own reasons in life, and as you know, I'm a unique guy, definitely to the beat of my own drummer. And sometimes it's about principle and integrity and morals and how you treat other people. And this is a lot I learned from Guru Dan. Again, being a good human being. Here's Jamie, you're gonna love this because you've heard it before, but it'll get to be on the podcast. The greatest lesson Guru Dan ever gave me, and as far as I'm concerned, us, because you were probably in the room sitting next to you as my workout partner. It was you or Michelle, maybe Carl, or all four of us actually. So our four musketeers. What's up,
Hmm.
Carl? What's up, Michelle? Um, but we do this out of love. We don't this because we want to hurt people. Because anything you do for love, you'll take to the highest level. And I'm gonna just tell it the best way I can.
Hmm.
I'm gonna Steve Kundo this. Okay.
Oh,
You
that's it.
like that, Steve Kundo? All
I don't
right.
know where it's going yet, but so far I'm
Okay.
into it.
Exactly. Because anything you do for love in this world, you'll take to the highest level. It's not work. If you love your job, it will never be work. You'll love every second of it. If you love your car, you'll take care of it. Maybe you'll buy it rims or wrap it or who knows. If you love your kids, you'll watch over them. If you love your wife, you'll respect her. If you love tennis or sculpting, you'll be the best you can be considering the time and effort you can put into that activity. Well, we fight because we love, because at one time people they they love they love their family, and they have a right to defend their family. They love the things they work hard for in life, right? Like my cell phone, my car. I don't want to get carjacked, right? I don't want to carjack my car. That's a bad criminal, but whatever. You just really want to get out of there. but
Fair enough.
we love our friends, right? Like if you and me were out together and anybody messed with you or I, it'd be I always say it's I'm not there cheering you on. I'm beating his ass with you. We're gonna finish this quickly,
I
because
know we'd have each other's
this is
back.
a
That's for
team
damn
effort.
sure. Yeah.
I don't need a cheerleader. I need somebody to throw punches and kicks for me.
Yeah.
Choke
Get him,
him,
Steve.
hold
No,
him
no.
so I can smash him. Whatever. But also, you might have defended your island long time ago, or your city long time
Your
ago,
tribe.
or if you're a military or law enforcement, take politics out of it. You're defending the people that you left at home that you want to go home to, right? And ideally, you're
Mhm.
serving the public and protecting people. And last but not least, we defend those that can't defend themselves. So everything was out of love. We didn't. It's not that we love hurting people, but we will, because you're attacking something I love. You're attacking my family. You're attacking my friend. You're attacking my tribe. You're attacking my island. People raiders might kind of try to take your women and your food or your livestock back in the day, right? So we train so hard because we love, not
Yeah.
because we want to hurt people. That's just a side benefit.
Oh, Steve. Ah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Double wink. Double wink.
Double wing, double wing.
Okay.
No, but
Yeah.
really, of course, I'm just being funny. That's my sense of humor. People out there, I'm being very literal. I learned the lesson from Guru Dan, and being a good Christian and Catholic. Not that we're gonna get into religion. I definitely don't want to be out there hurting my fellow man. That's for sure. But I will defend my fellow man against anybody who's unreasonable.
Yeah.
Right?
So I know your time as a bouncer, right?
Yeah, good times.
What are some things that you could tell our listeners from that perspective as martial arts people and self defense, we're going to say enthusiasts, right?
Sure.
What is something that you think that would be a takeaway for them if they were listening to this?
Nothing good happens after 12 o'clock.
Yep.
That's it. Get out of there. You should be home already. If you stay out after 12 and you're drinking, you get whatever you deserve.
Ugh.
Nothing good happens after 12. You should be home already. I'm not saying I followed that rule, but I learned that rule. I watched that rule happen live many times.
Yeah.
Even Muhammad Ali's thing was, if you want to be a champion, be in bed by 9. Avoid the parties, avoid the women, avoid going out, be in bed. You'll be a
Mhm.
champion.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard for a lot of people, especially when they're young.
Yeah, especially me. I mean, I had a lot of family issues. My parents weren't necessarily always aren't maybe the best examples. I mean, everybody gets a little bit of something or doesn't get a little bit of something,
Mhm.
and nobody's perfect. I'm not being judgmental, but I didn't have necessarily the best examples. So, you know, anyways, it is what it is. We should walk away from that subject.
It is what it is, but you had great examples in Guru Dan and Sifu Larry,
Exactly.
right?
Thank
Because
God.
they're the ones that had told you about, the highest point in the triangle is love and
Exactly.
the reasons to do it.
Exactly, exactly. And then also, um, the reason I tell people that story
Hmm.
is because some people have moral and ethical governors that they haven't figured out, and they have a problem pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
So I want to teach them that it's okay to pull the trigger. If it meets these qualifications, you are free to do whatever you want to do. You don't want to hurt anybody, but they're messing with your friend. They're disrespecting your lady, you know, whatever. Who's that stranger talking to my kid over there,
Hmm.
at the playground? No, other kids should be talking to my kid. No, you're an adult. Get the fuck away from my kid. Sorry about that. I
I
don't even
agree.
have children, but I'm just thinking of like my friends, like, my, you know, best friend since first grade, Mike Weinstein, and yeah, his kids are my kids.
Hmm.
I'd be the one he'd call.
For sure. For sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
I mean, I live out in the desert.
all of a sudden, the FormABLE Podcast just went into the land of the Sopranos. We're like out in the desert, you know what I mean? We're gonna try to bring it back before we start talking about like
Gotcha.
what style and size shovel you need. All right,
Right. Oh,
because
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. No, but ultimately it comes down to love.
Mhm.
And Mike's like a brother to me, and there's nothing I wouldn't do. I'd go to prison to make sure he could stay out with his family.
You got a
to
big
put it in the
heart.
happiest way.
You got a big heart. You always have,
You've
Steve.
got 5 daughters, I got a dog. I'll take care of it. He'll take care of his family. His daughters or his wife will need him, and I'll be okay.
You know, since I've known you, you are such a big dog lover, and
Yes,
especially pit bulls.
exactly. I still work at a rescue right now. I'm a card carrying volunteer.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because I called you the other day and you were
Sure.
like,
This is my
oh,
Desert Hot Springs official volunteer card I have right here in my
oh.
backpack. They're the underdog, and they always get like the raw, like a bad rep for no reason.
Hmm.
And I seem to understand that breed. I understand the body language and all that, and I can tell like which one's like, okay, that dog is super stressed. That dog is, ooh, don't go in the cage with that dog, and so on, because all dogs have go through different experiences. Just
Hmm.
like it'd be very safe to be locked in a prison cell with me, but there are people in this world you wouldn't be want to locked in a prison cell with. Every dog, every person's a little different, and some of us are safer than others. That's all. That's not
Yeah.
being judgmental to any of the animals because I love them all. They're God's innocent creatures. And part of the reason I do it, it's my form of like penance and payback because there's no money involved. I will not earn a dollar from my charitable time. And if you want to get technical, if you didn't ask about this, it would only be done in silent, which is, oh, somebody's trying to call me. Sorry, I had to end that phone call there. But anyway, yeah, so charity done in silent when no one's looking has the most value. I'm not looking for a pat on the back or,
Turn up your
know.
volume, brother.
Oh, sorry. You know what it is? Is because tell me when I come back.
You're good.
Can you hear me?
Mm.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because when I sent my that phone call to voicemail, I probably interrupted the volume for a second. But yeah, it's me giving back and trying to be in the most peaceful, loving environment I can be. And the dogs are absolutely innocent, and it allows me really to be out in the world, connecting with nature. I'm just with one of God's innocent little creatures, and I clean a lot of kennels. I will wind up leaving smelling like dog poop, but it feeds my soul too. So the reality is, my hard work winds up being a gift right back to myself.
That's awesome because everybody I know, especially there's martial artists, but every tough guy, okay, also
Okay.
has this side.
Oh,
And
got it. Well,
when
I'll
I
take that
talk,
as a huge compliment. Thank you, sir.
well, you're welcome. And to me, if they don't have that, then they're not a tough guy. They're a psychopath, to be
Oh,
totally
right.
honest, right? But
Yeah.
when I called you the other day, you're like, you told me how many miles or whatever steps you took. It would start off with miles, right?
Right.
Because you walked all those dogs. And I
And you know
just
what?
thought
I
to
actually
myself,
wound up going back to the rescue on Sunday. I wound up doing like over 12 miles of dog walking total that day.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, I actually went back because there are some staff there that's a little bit lacking, and it's just the need in the some of the staff that are in supervisory positions are aware of it, and some of these people, I guess, are being watched, and their time probably there is short because they're just not caring about the animals.
For sure.
It's not just a job. You're not trying to don't just try to get through your day. These animals really need to get out of their crates.
Yeah.
Why aren't you guys walking them? It's just I just care too much. I bring them all kinds of bones and stuff like that because a bone lasts for days to maybe a couple weeks, and that's something they can disappear into and a dog works on.
Hmm.
So it's a huge stress reliever for the animals. So I try to make it Christmas for them. I'm getting some bones delivered on Thursday, and Thursday's my day off. I hope they show up early so I can get them to the rescue.
Ah, what a guy. What a guy. So, how many pit bulls have you owned, brother, over the
Uh,
years?
I'm on my fourth. The current dog right now, I think, is a half pit bull, half bull mastiff.
Hmm.
But then I had 3 pit bulls previous, and I fostered before too. So Kaya, my last one that passed away about a little over 2 years ago now. That was tough.
Sweet baby Kaya.
You got it. You know it, sweet baby
Hmm.
Kaya.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's, let's put it this way, because there's something that follows it. I can even say this on the podcast. That's actually my password for almost like everything. Sweet baby Kaya, something something else after that.
Yeah, she
Like logging into Zoom today. Sweet baby Kaya, something 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 something, and then that's my password.
oh my goodness, she was such a good dog. I remember
Yeah.
coming to babysit the pit bulls to
Mhm.
Chicago,
Mhm.
and I took some free time, and we checked out different martial arts videos, and you
Oh,
turned me on to some different people through the videos, and showed me a few things, and
cool.
that was my job. I was a pit bull babysitter. Okay. That's all I'm saying. All right. And it was great. Sweet baby Kaya. They were like these and then I want to
Sifu.
say at that time period you had three. It's 20
I
years
had
ago.
Diana, which was my first one. I had Sifu, that was named after Sifu Larry Hartzell, and then I had Kaya.
Yes, there were three there.
Yeah.
And just little balls of muscle, but so sweet.
Yeah, loving dogs. You give an innocent dog to a good person, you get my pit bulls. Sweet, loving dogs.
That's That's a really good way to put it. Prior to that, in my former life of
Hmm.
addiction,
Right.
I had a pit bull grab a hold of the tail end of my foot because I was someplace I shouldn't be and drag
Okay.
me down concrete steps.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, for
Oh,
real.
wow.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
the next time I was around pit bulls when I was babysitting for you, and it was like, I needed that. I
Right.
needed
Nice.
that because the dog that had come after me was, a guard dog in a
Right.
not great neighborhood, and
Right.
that was its job. and
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
my friend had left the big door open and left the screen door, and
Oh,
I
man.
walked up, saw the dog. It's like, oh, and then before I knew it, the screen door's on top of me. And yes, and then I'm being dragged down. There was like 4 steps, and I hit my head and
Yeah.
whatnot. My friend got the, uh to the dog and then put it away, and he was like, "What's the matter? What happened to your head?" And you know what I mean? Because I hit my head pretty hard, and I was like, "Huh,
Right.
head's perfectly fine. If all I get is a concussion out of this, I am totally fine right now. My
Yeah.
entire life just flashed before my eyes. That I'm sure of."
Right.
You
And
know?
that's actually an important acknowledgement because most people don't realize that dogs don't just randomly do things for zero reasons.
Oh, yeah.
They're not literally like a crazy human being. Like there are crazy people out there that have messed themselves out to the point where they hear voices every day. You can't be crazy as crazy, but dogs generally aren't crazy and will do things for a reason. So, like just the other day, this happened at my work where a guy basically said that he's like, "Oh, I'm afraid of pit bulls," and he gives me one anecdotal story that's not real because there's always more information behind it of
Mhm.
why he's supposedly right. And I was like, irrational fear. And they couldn't believe that I said that. And I was like, you know what? If you say I'm afraid of all pit bulls, I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of all this race of people. I'm afraid of butterflies. I'm afraid of snakes. You're just irrational. Why are you afraid of all of them? That always means that you're uneducated about the subject. If you're irrationally afraid of snakes, then you just don't know about them because some of them are absolutely harmless to us and they kill rodents and they're good to have around depending on the snake, right? And they're not going to hurt you. So, it's irrational. And you're afraid
Okay.
of heights. Why? Are you afraid that you'll accidentally jump off the top of a building? No, you won't.
People are not always rational, okay? You and I both
Exactly.
know this, and
Right.
both of us have our non-rational moments too. So,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially on
that's
alcohol. I am not rational.
oh my gosh, that's why I don't drink is I'm allergic actually to alcohol. I
Exactly. No,
I
I
br-
know.
I
You told
break
me
out
the
in handcuffs.
I know. You told me. Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you're going. Okay,
right? And
exactly.
so that's one thing I'm pretty sure of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But I just Carl called me this afternoon, right before and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing your podcast today." He's like, "Oh, sorry, it was a butt dial." How about clear your last phone calls, dude?
Well, if you and I end up butt dialing somebody later, we're gonna giggle about that, right? Because
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
you're
on the
right.
other side, you just don't know.
I
You
clear all
just
my
don't
most
know.
recent calls very often.
Okay. All right.
And then, of course, I talked to Michelle a little bit about her dog brother experiences. That
Hmm.
was disappointing.
Well, we're not going to get into that here because I already had her on
Right,
twice,
right, right.
right? And
Exactly. Oh, okay, cool.
I was there for a portion of that as well. So
Right, right,
that's not
right.
our story, and we're not going to tell it today, brother.
True, true.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
But I will tell my story, Michelle. I can't scream like a girl if I tried. That's all I'll say. My voice doesn't go up that high. And the reason I armbarred you is I had to defang the snake. You're too dangerous if I don't do it. If I do anything else, you'll gouge my eyes out if I choke you.
He has been telling me that, Michelle. He has been telling me that. And that segues into a great time for us to call it a day, brother.
Nice. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Good times. And again, but like you said, we never got to the subject, but training partners. And
yeah.
that's like what you, me, Carl, and Michelle have been for many years. And that's just a great example of, believe it or not, even when we're at a seminar in the hotel room, we're training and talking martial arts, and we might even wind up grappling on the floor. And that would just be par for the course and normal for us. You know,
Hmm.
it's all about training partners and learning from each other.
I'd be putting money right on the fact that we would be. You know what I mean? Someplace
Yeah.
in
Oh, for
between the
sure.
two beds, one of us is getting choked with something,
Yeah.
you know,
Or at least, dude, I have to show this to you. At the very least.
at the very least, at the very least.
Awesome. Well, then, Jamie, I just want to finish off with obviously you, Carl, Michelle, our whole group, because it's always been the four of us. I love you guys all.
Love you,
And
homie.
always a pleasure talking. And I hope that somebody out there gets something out of whatever I had to say today. If that happens, then that's a blessing because if you want to get technical, this podcast could live on much longer than I will.
It's going to be on the internet well after we all are. We're
Exactly.
all gone, you know.
Exactly. And sometimes, if nothing else, especially for the younger generation, that's why I focus very much on attitude.
Hmm.
It just comes out naturally, especially if we're talking about the martial arts. All respect to Steve Larry and Paul Vunak on that one. Killer instinct, attitude, focus, dedication, be in bed early at night. Uh, don't be a bully, be a guardian. These would be the things that I hope people heard loud and clear.
I'm sure that they did. On
Yeah.
top of us kind of messing around with each other, you know, because
Oh, of course.
we just can't help it, you
Of
know.
course. And as
Uh
long as you kick their ass out of love, it's okay.
yeah, yeah. That's
That's to
well,
simplify it. To simplify it. As
yeah,
long as you kick their ass out of love, it's okay.
exactly. And then everybody gets we'll make the world a better place through ass
I
kickings
believe
and
I make the
love.
world a better place every time I do that.
Brother,
You know why? Because they won't do it to somebody else next time. They are really going to think about their experience with me. I'm going to make sure it stays in their head.
now we have finally found the best place to stop the podcast.
Awesome.
Oh, all
Oh, hey, by
right.
the way, first, and I should say, Jikundo MFers, my name is Samurai.
His name is Samurai Steve on Instagram. This is my man, Steve Lilegdon. Great training partner, great friend, loyal to a fault, without a doubt. And draw dog, pit bull lover, and all dog lover extraordinaire.
And functional martial artist in every realm.
Extraordinaire. My name's
Love you, man.
Jamie.
Have a great night.
My name's Jamie Sparling. That's Samurai Steve right there. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. And I can always bring Steve back for another episode. Let us know what you thought about this one. And if you have any questions, uh, I started off wanting to talk to him about being a good training partner, and we went off. I haven't seen him in years, and leave us a comment and a question. Let us know what you think, and I'll have Steve back. You'll come back, right?
Heck yeah. And if you leave a question in the comments, I will answer it.
There you go. He'll answer it, and
The best I can. I'll give you a Steve answer. The best I can answer it for you.
that's all you're responsible for, brother.
Exactly. Well, Guru
Absolutely.
Dan
Now,
would do a better job,
well, he is Guradan, and he
Yeah,
is just a wealth of knowledge and inspiration, and we're all just so lucky to be around him and to have had the time that we've had with him.
for sure. Have
This
a
is
great night, sir.
you too.
Love you, Jamie.
Love you, brother. This is Jamie Sparling, Affinity Martial Arts, FormABLE Podcast, Samurai Steve, Jeet Kune Do. We'll see you next time.